This is an outrage. We shall chase these intruders down.
I was chased by a gigantic Valcod 2 nights ago. I thought it was further.
I think Lord Redgrave just suggested I was sired by an ancient vampire.
Hello again, Venus.
Jonathan, you're still up. Can't you just knock at people's doors during the day?
I'm sure you can spare me a few minutes. For old time's sake.
Of course you may enter, Jonathan. I remember when Mary came here with her husband and her son. They were such a beautiful family. I'm so sorry for your loss, Jonathan.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Venus.
So you returned from the war in one piece too. Thank God. My Clarence is back home too.
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras. Clarence has changed a lot since he returned from the war, you know.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan, please accept my condolences for your sister.
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden. And I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but, you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
Why is my return so surprising?
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
Venus, why do you worry so much about your family's reputation?
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
Tell me about Clarence's obsession with vampires.
It drives me so crazy it makes my stomach hurt. I was so relieved to have him back. But I quickly realized he'd lost his mind in France.
I understand your irritation, Venus. But you have to accept the trauma Clarence endured on the battlefield.
The question is simple, Jonathan. Is my husband mad? Yes or no? Do vampires exist? Or is Clarence a lunatic?
So you don't believe Clarence?
If poor Mary, bless her soul, had tried to convince you of the existence of bloody vampires, would you have believed her? Seriously?
The important question is, What do you really think of your husband?
I'm tough, Jonathan. He should have told me the horrors he witnessed, however appalling it was, instead of inventing a fantasy about blood-drinking monsters.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
The McPhersons. I heard they locked themselves in their own house.
They could just be afraid of getting sick.
Perhaps you're right. But if I were you, I'd pay them a visit. A big house, reachable through a courtyard, to the north of the railway bridge.
Goodbye for now.
I remember when Mary came here with her husband and her son. They were such a beautiful family. At least you survived the Great War. I feared the worst. Always welcome here, but
It's locked, all right. No invitation is needed to enter this building. That can't be a good sign. No sign of a struggle. It seems Charlotte's friend knew the killer and let him in. Emily wanted to become a vampire. Something must have gone wrong. Someone is responsible for this mess. But who? Blood. I should follow the trail.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
I'm the Marquis de Bois-Colombes, and I strongly invite you to find your own game, sir.
I'm not here to sustain myself. I'm currently investigating the death of a young woman killed by a vampire.
A young woman killed by a vampire? Oh, you're joking, right? Oh, I do love the British sense of humor.
And who exactly are you?
I am Jacques-Michel Guillaume Florimond de Marquis de Bois-Colombes, at your service, my dear cousin.
You're French, but your English is quite good.
I was born in France, sir, but I consider myself a traveler of this world. So many countries, so many tantalizing tastes.
Dear cousin, are we related?
We could be of the same blood, my dear. I tend to consider all Econs as family, don't you?
What are you doing here?
I recently decided to visit London. I've always dreamed of visiting a city on the verge of collapse. Such a delicate, yet intense spectacle.
You take pleasure from others' misery.
I have been a totally depraved and immoral creature since the day I was reborn, sir. And probably before.
What do you plan to do here?
Take pleasure. Take pictures. Enjoy the show. Have fun. Believe me, I won't be the only foreign immortal who bought a ticket to the fair.
I followed the trail of blood from her room to here.
Oh, you're referring to that young woman. Yes, the meeting turned messy. I'm afraid I ruined my last redingote.
So you admit you murdered her?
I admit nothing, my good sir. I only regret the blood of that girl staining my clothes. Oh, blood can be so messy.
What happened?
She wanted to become one of us. Not the first time I have received such a proposal, but I must admit her direct approach tempted me.
And then what?
Her body rejected my blood. It happens, you know, sometimes even with voluntary prey. At least her gurglings brought me some fun, until the artery burst.
I believe you, sir. Emily's diary confirms your statement.
Oh, Emily was her name. Quite charming. Well, mystery solved then.
Yes, I suppose so. You can go.
And so can you. Farewell, sir. May you enjoy the spectacle of this fallen city as much as I do.
Good evening, old chap.
I won't...
Clarence, why have you distributed leaflets about vampires all across the West End?
I have to warn everybody about them. They've killed thousands of people already. Unnoticed thanks to the epidemic. We are all in danger here.
Vampires in London? Come on, Clarence. Who's going to believe that?
I'm not mad, Jonathan. You have to believe me. I know they are real. They're all around us, even as we speak.
Clarence, you've always been a reliable and a good friend to me. If you say you saw a vampire, then I believe you.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your trust. You don't know what that means to me.
It's all right. But if you want my help, you have to explain exactly what happened.
The first time it was in Rouen. I saw an officer drink the blood of a soldier. I saw its teeth, saw it bite. It was a vampire, Johnny, and they're here too.
Do you realize you are ruining your family, Clarence? Don't you see the risk here?
Money isn't important. Not important when it is a matter of life and death. That is what my dear Venus cannot understand.
People will laugh at you, if they don't already. Think about your wife and your position. Think about your future.
I understand my wife's embarrassment, but gossips don't kill, vampires do. There'll be no future if people don't open their eyes.
I can't believe I'm telling you this, but if warning people is that important to you, why not choose a more efficient way to spend your money?
Don't you think I tried? I knocked at every door, went to every bank, I even tried to be published. No, Jonathan. This is a one-man war.
Tell me what you have discovered about vampires, Clarence.
They've always been here. And if you search for long enough, you realize others know about these devils too. I'm not alone.
Have you shared your research with anybody else?
No. But I've published my leaflets all across the city, hoping that someday someone will realize I'm printing the truth.
What do you mean you're not alone? Who have you met?
The Guard of Prewin. The Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole. Ichabod Throgmorton. Those names always pop up when you dig deep enough.
Have you spoken with any of them?
No. With the quarantine, it's almost impossible to leave the West End. But as a doctor, maybe you could, Johnny.
Are you asking me to help you prove the existence of vampires, Clarence?
Yes, Johnny. Please, gather all the information you can find about vampires and bring it to me. You're the only friend I have left. I need you.
Clarence, tell me about the vampire you saw in France.
I was enjoying my leave in Rouen. I left the bar, took a shortcut back to the barracks. I saw it in a back alley. An officer in a stained uniform, biting into a soldier's neck.
But you were drunk, weren't you? Are you sure these two men were not just kissing?
Please don't insult me, Johnny. I hid, and I saw him leave. Then I saw the body, drained of all blood. I've seen the same marks here in London since I've returned.
Did you ever see that officer again?
No. He wore the uniform of the Royal Warwickshire Regiment. I did some research, but found no trace of him. He probably stole it from a previous victim.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Can you help me?
Infection is everywhere these days. But if you ever go to the park near that swanky house belonging to the Mullaneys...
Yes? What about the Mullaneys? What about their house?
Not enough noise for a big family with children. Not enough movement. Closed doors. What is going on in there? I wonder.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep.
Between men and women!
Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
I have found out what happened to your friend, Emily.
I can handle the truth. There's no need to hide the bloody details.
Your friend was planning to become a vampire. She thought she'd met an honest one and made a deal with him. Unfortunately, Emily did not survive the process.
My mother told me many times about the risks of being turned. I often suspected she exaggerated the danger to avoid me being tempted.
No, the risk is real. Have you any idea what a body has to endure to become an organism entirely consumed by its need to process and recombine blood?
I should never have talked to Emily about vampires. I never thought she'd actually try it without me. Thank you, sir. Here, take this for your discretion.
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my best...
She's been quite busy.
That building is under quarantine. Could this be what I'm looking for? It's locked.
Hungry. Where shall I eat?
Remember, don't let any strangers come into your house.
Women die too.
Why are vampire hunters sniffing around here? I need to find out what they're after.
Remember your...
It's a leak!
This woman's body has multiple lacerations. They're deep, too. Whoever did this was driven by rage. He had his tongue removed and his eyes gouged out. He was a victim of brutal torture. This one's neck is broken. He was young. Probably the son.
You thought I was dead too, didn't you? No, I was just pretending. Doris told me I could have been a great actress.
You killed your family.
They mocked my talent. Ah!
I've never seen such a radical mutation. Could it be a new stage in the disease's evolution? So, this girl took lessons at the famous Doris Fletcher acting school.
Inconvenient.
She tricked me! I love you!
Fucking pathetic pig!
So the husband had an affair with Doris Fletcher. Doris Fletcher seems to be the missing link here. It can't just be a coincidence. I should go to her acting school.
Women die too in this war! Women of all countries unite!
Good evening, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm still investigating from inside the Ascalon Club. Can we talk?
Of course, my dear.
How is your
I have decided to explore beyond...
What do you mean?
You may on occasion find this house closed when you visit me. If so, it is because I have gone undercover. Sort of.
Who are you going to surveil? I hope you're not considering spying on McCullum or the Guard of Prewan.
No. I intend to ask a few questions in parts of town I rarely venture into. Dirty places where a delicate lady like myself should never be seen.
When will you return?
As soon as possible. And I don't intend to stay away for long.
I have investigated new sources of infection, and I may have found a new type of Skal. One suffering from heavy mutations that is extremely contagious.
Skals come in various forms, you know. They are simply degenerate versions of their makers.
I believe these families are different, and I'm currently pursuing a lead. I know I can find the true source of contagion by finding who created these creatures.
That would be great news. Be very careful, my dear, when dealing with such creatures.
There are many paintings adorning the walls here.
Yes?
Did you paint them?
No, my dear. But some of them. I have had a long time to learn from the best. I'm currently working on what could be my greatest masterpiece.
What is this masterpiece?
Your portrait, my dear Jonathan. It will be my gift to you, if I ever have time to finish it.
Have you met any famous painters?
Are you trying to divine my age by cross-checking historical dates, my dear? That's a devious parlor trick.
Well, Elizabeth, I tried my best. Don't I deserve some reward at least?
Well, if you must know, I even posed for the greats. Now that you know it, you may recognize me when visiting museums.
Goodbye, my dearest.
Goodbye, my beloved.